as you were probably aware of by now, on Saturday, there was there were a series of protests across the country referred to as the hands off movement, the hands off protest. And they were protesting in, I think, every state. I'm not sure if every state actually saw a protest, but millions of people took to the streets to protest what's happening under Donald Trump and Doge. And the people who opposed that, the people who spoke out against that movement, those protests, are, as far as I can tell, all Trumpers. It's just a sea of Trumpers saying these people are assholes. We got to counter protest these people. These people don't know what they're talking about. So you've got liberal Democrats, depending on what part of the spectrum, the liberal spectrum you're on, doesn't really matter. You might be center left, you might be far left, but liberal Democrats taking to the streets to protest, and MAGA supporters saying no, these people are wrong. So then one could assume that anybody that shows up to counter protest, who showed up to counter protest the hands off movement, was a Trumper, right? I mean, that's the logical conclusion. That doesn't mean that it is exactly true for every single person that came out, but you got a really good chance of a counter protester being a Trumper. There was a protest in O'Fallon, Illinois, and this gentleman came out to counter protest.
This guy showed up to the Hands Off rally in O'Fallon, Illinois, and this is who he is. So, TikTok, do your thing.
A literal Nazi flag. I don't know how much more of this we need to see before people wake up and realize that we have a real life, modern day Nazi movement going on. History in our world repeats itself every 100 years. Take a look at the history books. Every century, we go through the same bullshit that we went through. Every century, we have a recession or a depression. Every century, we seem to get into some major global military conflict. Every century, every 100 years, we forget the mistakes from 100 years ago and we repeat them again. And it was 100 years ago now that the Nazis were coming to power, that the Nazis were taking over the middle of Germany, the middle of Europe. It was 100 years ago today that we were facing down, heading into the Great Depression, facing down fascists around the world, getting into global military conflicts, and trying to avoid an absolute collapse of our economy. And here we are again 100 years later. We're heading into a recession, if not a Great Depression. We're trying tariffs again for the first time in 100 years. Obviously not the first time we've slapped tariffs on anybody or any product. We're talking tariffs of this scale. We have Nazis literally bubbling to the surface, only this time it's here in the United States of America, and they support the Republican Party. How much more of this shit do you need to see before you wake up and realize you're on the wrong side of history?